So I'm guessing Marisa is probably getting ready and attempting to navigate
Yes.
the stuff on our end. Excellent, we can see you.
Excellent.
So I am guessing that many of you already know Marisa. Marisa is in the role of Regional Solution Consultant Canada with Clarivate, and she has been in that role since 2016. Yeah, and just a really big thank you to Marisa for being part of the conference, and I will pass things over to you.
Thank you, Shannon, and thank you to the entire RIC committee for giving me the opportunity today. I am joining you from Tiohtià:ke, or Montreal, the unceded Indigenous lands of the Mohawk Nation, and I recognize that the Kanien'kehá:ka as custodians of the lands and water on which I stand today. So today I'm going to talk to you about a newish feature that is in InCites BNA. That is called Citation Topics. It's been into...
Marisa,
yes?
I really apologize for totally cutting you off. I don't know if you know this. The screen that we're seeing, we see like your main slide plus next slide. I just wasn't sure if you had wanted the enlarged, like just the presentation.
Yes.
I just would mention it. I know sometimes things look different on this view compared to what you as the speaker may be seeing on your end.
Okay. So
if you just say swap, it will work. It will switch us to seeing the overall presentation view.
And again, sorry to interrupt. I just wasn't
No,
sure
no, it's important. Is this okay?
That's great. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so the new feature actually was brought in after our in-house scholars, which is the ISI Institute for Scientific Information, wrote a report called Data Categorization, Understanding Choices and Outcomes. So I've linked the report on this slide. And so basically, this was brought in as a responsible metrics approach to give citation topics from the bottom up, meaning that we're looking at micro clusters of topic to add granularity to the InCites data. Of course, besides the possibility of exporting a custom-made data set from Web of Science, but we wanted to give greater accuracy in microclusters or specialties to ensure increased homogeneity of content and improve citation normalization. So it's basically a categorical structure based on the citation network of WASP and supporting a hierarchical system aggregating the smallest clusters. So what was considered in order to do this is, sorry about that. So we considered time scale. So we wanted to match the same timeline that is reflected in InCites. Document types go beyond articles and reviews, although some document types may not have made it, just like front loading content from journals or some book chapters or some conference proceedings, but it does go beyond article and reviews. The cluster size, we wanted to respect minimums and their effects on normalization. So we wanted to really, there's a threshold that had to be considered in order for a citation topic to even exist. We wanted to be representative of the topic. Similarity measures. So there's kind of three elements here. So the bibliographic coupling, those are similarity based on shared cited references, but not all documents are cited or have cited references, such as my favorite document type, meeting abstract, which doesn't even have a DOI. So it's great to index all documents, but some documents do present limitations in looking for similarity between documents. Co-citation. So co-citation is a similarity based on citation of documents pairwise, and then direct citation. So any linkage to a direct citation. The updating of the data occurs both monthly and yearly. So monthly because InCites monthly, and yearly so that we want to include new emerging clusters. We want the research community to be reflected in the new clusters yearly. So this was developed with CWTS Leiden, and their criterion ensures that no more than 5% of those articles would change the clusters during a yearly update. So it would be interesting to see you know, what happens after this year and all the enormous data set on COVID-19 and new clusters developing new keywords and whatnot. And of course, there was labeling involved. So there's 3 hierarchies. There's macro, meso, and micro. So the micro assignment of documents is the outcome of an algorithm, while the hierarchy to group micro into meso and meso into macro was a result of human curation. So users planning a responsible research evaluation, and I know that all of you are involved in, and I really enjoyed Thane's talk because it's a constant metrics literacy to the evaluators, you know, to check mark different things. Sometimes evaluators are really stuck on a specific indicator, not really understanding their shortcomings and the consequence of that. So, so we have purpose. So, of course, it's important to consider whether the objectives of the evaluation, and the objectives can be from a large array. They could be output, so straight aggregated quantitative output, or objectives that match an organizational mission, whether it's short-term or long-term. Does it match a curriculum? And again, the word impact is unfortunately often used as a canonic, as if it had a canonic definition. Impact is so subjective to different fields. I'm an ex-humanist, so I'm always vouching for the humanities. Does a scholar in the humanities publishing a monograph on Canadian history that is used across Canada in all 200 level courses, is that not impact? That is impact as well. So it's a constant, you know, literacy and education to the evaluators. So in categories, so we need to take a researcher's output portfolio into account in choosing a data source. So it has to be reflective. The data source needs to be reflective and have enough content in that researcher's output. The granularity, so we need to be aware of what the granularity is and to choose the appropriate level of aggregation. And the coverage, again, is it, you know, does the classification capture data equitably for all stakeholders? Sometimes normalization is not enough. So these are important summary points to consider. So the what and why of citation topics. So basically, under the classification schema, we do have editorial classification. So we do have an editorial team that is the most of them were scholars in their previous life pre-Clarivate, but they're right now, you know, once you are an editor at Clarivate, you're no longer allowed to publish or to be scholarly active in order to remain unbiased in the selection of the content. But editorial classification really needs exactly a certain expertise and a human curation that needs to be perpetual. And this happens every year, all year long, in between, you know, each JCR new edition and whatnot. So then we have classification based on content. So this is on the actual publications. And then the classification based on citations. And this is how we kind of broaden or could narrow you know, your results according to any related records. So references that share other citations for example. So why citation topics? So the existing schema that we have now in InCites, if you don't import from Web of Science a custom data set, was the Web of Science categories, and that was publication based, and that really lacks granularity, and even though it is constantly curated, each journal has to belong to one category, but no more than 6, because then we don't want to dilute the categories too much and their definition. But it happens a lot of times, sometimes where we're looking for certain researchers. I'll give an example, a researcher in aerospace at a certain university didn't have his publications reflected in aerospace classified journals, but in transportation journals. So there's so much overlap, and the multidisciplinarity of research as we go on really makes this a challenge. So the citation topics really are adding granularity at this 3-level hierarchy, and this is document based, and so as the data from Web of Science is ingested into InCites monthly, that updates, but the entire clusters and the names and the keywords used in the clusters will be updated or reflect the research yearly so that it evolves with emerging research. So I wanted to kind of take it, this is in the report, these 2 visualizations, and the visualization on the right is the WASP categories. So you can see how it's murky in the sense that because it's a publication-based classification, and if you can just take environmental science and how multidisciplinary and overlapping it is, versus on the right, you have the citation topics, which are a lot more defined in their colors. So I thought it was interesting to visualize this difference. So creating the citation clusters. So we do look at citations to documents published also pre-1980, the publication, and they are also considered. And then all core collection documents, again, from 1980 to present, and then the clustering of documents based on those relationships. So depending how big or small. So there needs to be a minimum, again, to create an actual cluster. So this slide, I wasn't sure which side I was going to put it in, because we are talking about bottom up, but I chose the one that since we read from top to bottom, but this can totally be inverted. So the small clusters are interactively combined into, so the micro goes into the meso, and then the meso into the macro. But it could go the other way around. And to avoid topics that fall in between 2 kind of parent topics, or an enforcement parameter aligns with a topic of a single parent. So that was also established with CWTS. So what do we miss when this happens? So we do have unclustered journal documents. So these are assigned to the most frequent microcluster of the journal of the publication document publication years, and some, again, as I mentioned, some book chapters, or either because we index the book chapters, they each have their own record. Some of them may not make it in because it doesn't, it's not complying with the topic. It has to be quite evident that the topic needs to be underlined here. So the clustering rate to date, so we have what we've done to date from 1990 to now, and then the past 5 years, which is the most common evaluation used in InCites. So we've done most of the article and reviews, and again, there's some documents missing, such as meeting abstract or certain conference proceedings. So this is the citation topic structure. So we have 10 macro citation topics, which is extremely broad, and then 326 meso topics. So these two tiers were curated through humans, whereas the micro topics are created algorithmically with the author keywords. So another challenge here is that not all fields require author keywords, and not all journals now require author keywords. So in Web of Science, we wanted to remediate to that by creating the keywords plus feature. But the micro topics do not look at the keywords plus feature because that is an algorithmic data mining process that takes a look at the most frequent keywords in the reference list. So the micro topics really rely on the keywords provided by the authors. So this is an example. So what's in a name? If I take the macro topic of chemistry, which is extremely broad, I would take a look at the meso topic of organic semiconductors. So the whatever's after the first the 144 is the mesotopic ID, and then the micro topic for OLEDs, organic LEDs, is 321. So there's a code for each topic, and that's how they are. So the micro again is labeled algorithmically. So the naming of the micro topics. So in this example, OLEDs was the most significant keyword in the 321 category. So this is this is effectively a label. This is a label that was done accurately, but it does not mean that every document in this topic will feature this keyword. Also that all items in the topic will be all about OLEDs, or that every document concerning OLEDs will have been gathered into the topic. Okay, so that's but it does mean that the most significant subject in the topic will concern OLEDs. So keeping the citation topics topical. So the initial clustering is again from the WASP content and the citations. The monthly updates occurs with the new data update, the data release, and then the yearly updates again to always stay current with the research that is published. So bringing it to BNA, this feature was brought in December, so it could be found under the research area filter, and this is available across all entities, so or modules, whichever you want to call them. So you can select under the research schema, citation topics, the level filter, and no topics assigned. If you want to include documents with no topics assigned, you can, and this is one of the visualizations, and these are this is one of the future visualizations where it'll be very interactive. As you hover over the nodes, it will give you more information. So the citation topics are included in the APIs at the 3 levels. So this is an example of, so we have earth science as a macro, ocean dynamics as meso, and then sea level rise as a micro. And what are the most popular, or why would you use that? It's really, again, adding granularity. So if we want to explore those mega journals that are are classified under multidisciplinary, if you want to compare the WASP category discipline information in purple versus the meso in fuchsia, and then micro topics in orange. You see how much granularity it adds into here. So these are just, of course, very popular journals. And these are, for example, general medicine titles that don't have a specialty. This also helps this way. And for example, if I want to look at the Web of Science category called chemistry, multidisciplinary, I can choose whether I want to go, deeper into meso or micro. So here is the meso tree map on chemistry. And so here it's ranked by Web of Science documents. So a quantitative rank, nothing about impact here. Here is also an analysis of specific publication output. So here I kind of looked at the Department of Ophthalmology at Waterloo, and there are 3 publications on dry eye, so extremely specific. And here I've kind of put out, if you're looking for who's working on a specific topic, here are the researchers that have published on dry eye at Waterloo. So the meso category is ophthalmology, 1.36, and then the micro, there's a micro called dry eye. So once you do open the document level analysis and insights under research area, you'll have dry eye. So if you are in the citation topics. So that is, one last one is the, for example, who is funding a specific topic. So the agency is funding the research topic on a micro topic, optical design. So here you can pull up who's funding on a very specific, so here I just pulled up a pie chart by percentage. So these are just a few use cases. And if you have any questions, oh yes, also if you have suggestions on if you do explore the citation topics and you feel that it's not representative, the team is really open and eager to hear from you if you have any suggestions or corrections. That is all. Any questions?
Thank you, Marisa. And we actually do have some questions. So we probably have time for, I think we can fit into. We're going to do it. So Marisa, one question from one BRIC attendee is, are there any plans for rolling out citation topics in Web of Science? And kind of how does that fit in with all this?
Okay, well, that's really interesting. So what we want to do, because usually once we like to have the features match from one product to another, but the Web of Science team is quite busy with the new interface and also new features. So I don't know if that will be part of 2021 or later. They don't tell us either, so it's kind of secret. But I'll definitely put that as a wish list, because I will communicate that as a wish list.
Okay.
It would be great.
And one other question. So where is the easiest place to find a list of all of the citation topics? So let's say that somebody wanted to see like a spreadsheet or just a list of the three different lists. What would you recommend they do?
Yeah, I have an Excel spreadsheet and I'll put it in the chat.
Awesome.
No problem.
And actually we can fit in one last question. How are you, this may be a really large question, but are you able to, I guess, briefly speak to how long did it actually take to develop this? So it was with Clarivate and CWTS.
Correct.
How long did this project take, like as a ballpark?
It's a ballpark of, it's a little over a year because of the human curation of the first 2 tiers. I know they did start pre-pandemic, so that's my timeline, but I can ask more specifically how long it took, but it was a good collaboration, and it probably took between 12 to 18 months.
Okay. And I think that's also a continued theme throughout the entire conference is collaboration and just the element that plays.
Yes.
Making become better and do, more powerful things.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we are right on time. So thanks again, Marisa, and everyone who's listening in. We're now going to move into our afternoon break, and then we will regroup at 3 o'clock, so in half an hour. So we will see you soon. We hope you join us again. See you in a bit.